Welcome back to the Music Business Dreams Podcast, Episode 3. If this is your first time here, hey, thanks for checking out the show. Be sure to subscribe if you want to hear more episodes and be updated every time we release. But today, I'm really excited to present to you guys an interview with rapper NANCE. We talked about a lot of things, including how he was able to fund his album via Kickstarter with $10,000. And so it was a really great conversation. Now, I want you to excuse us. Nance was pretty busy, so we conducted this interview over the phone, and he was driving, so there's a little bit of technical difficulties, and the call even dropped at one point. But it's all good, so just stay tuned, and here's the interview with Nance. So guys, the next guest on the Music Business Podcast is NANCE. NANCE is a rapper from the Raleigh, North Carolina area. He's really been building up a buzz these last couple of years. He's performed for artists like Action Bronson, Kyle, Mobb Deep. He's been lighting up festival stages. He was at A3C last year, Hopscotch, the Art of Cool Festival. But we're going to talk about all of it. He's just released his debut album, No Excuses, which he funded through a successful Kickstarter campaign. But we're going to talk about all that. Here is Nance.
Yo, what's up?
What's up, man? Thanks a lot again for agreeing to be on the podcast. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. I appreciate it, man. That, saying all that at one time was crazy. Like, all the accomplishments, really built it up there, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man. So for those who don't know you, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name's Nance, rapper, born and raised, Raleigh, North Carolina. I was raised in Wake Forest, so the whole Triangle area, pretty much. I've been rapping since I was 15. Yeah, man, just kind of been out here doing my thing, the independent route. I put out a couple projects, but my newest one's been the album. So yeah, it's been grinding for a few years now, just building it up, man.
That's what's up, man. That's funny. We're actually from around the same area. I grew up in Wake Forest, too. But I went to high school, Southeast Raleigh, yeah.
Oh, damn. That's what's up.
Yeah, man. Well, we could talk offline about specifics and stuff. But, yeah, so you said you started rapping at about 15?
Yeah, I started rapping at 15. I started writing in middle school. And then in high school, I got kind of comfortable with, freestyling and kind of taking it serious, man. I started freestyling and then recording my stuff and just selling it around school. I started selling mixtapes, in high school. So I kind of put 15 as the mark where I was really doing it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So what got you interested in hip hop?
Man, my brother was always playing it. He put me on to Dipset, Kanye, all those guys. When I was in middle school, 50 Cent, The Game. So around that time, I started really getting into it and just writing, man. It was I found it a way just to write and get my thoughts and feelings out. But the main thing is just I just love the music, man. I remember on Sundays, MTV2 would have Sucker Free Sundays or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And they would play the countdown, and I would just watch the whole countdown. See what the number one song was of that week and just all that, man. I just like the whole culture behind it, rapping and everything, man.
Yeah, man, definitely. So at 15, you knew rap was what you wanted to do, or was it more of a hobby or just a way to kind of get your thoughts out?
It was a hobby for sure, but it's it was one of those things at first where it's oh man, I'm dreaming too big if I want to do that, and at the time, the only white rappers out were Eminem, so I didn't really see any rappers that were as far as white rappers go, that had more of a college vibe, a Asher Roth or maybe Mac Miller. That wasn't a normal thing at the time. So right. I just kind of I didn't see myself fully doing it until high school when people were saying, oh, yo, you're dope, you should really try this,
Mm-hmm. So what was the turning point for you where you felt like you could start to take yourself seriously and really go for it?
In high school, I remember coming home one day after selling mixtapes at school. I had $64. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, people were actually buying it. And that was like one of the first moments where I was like, all right, let me really start doing this. And then when I got into college, I started like booking shows, and just gaining a following online. That's when I was like, all right, this could be something that I should really invest my time into. And I couldn't see myself doing anything else. Like I was going to school for like business and marketing, but in the back of my mind, I was going to Wake Tech. The school I was going to was so close to the studio. That's why I went to that school. It's like the studio's right here. So everything just like I naturally moved in the direction of music, you know?
Right. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So one thing, because I think I found out about you, maybe 2015 or so? And one thing that I learned about you very quickly was that you're very big on live shows. Like, there's not a lot of artists around here that can pack out venues by themselves. But you were one, it seems like you were doing that kind of early. How did you go about doing that? But how important has live shows been to your brand?
I feel like it's been like one of the things that, especially locally, that separated me. I was always like trying to like get on shows and like open for big artists and stuff. And I got lucky with like getting on an Action Bronson show here. And then like, I opened for like Chevy Woods. But like a lot of the promoters, like all they wanted to know is like how many people I could bring out. So me and some friends decided to just book our own shows like locally and bring as many people as we could out to the shows. And that would be like a way to show promoters like, hey, look, like we brought 200 people to the show. So if you have me open up for whoever you have coming to town, like we can bring people, you know? So that's a way we kind of like, we did it to like prove to promoters and people, like different venues, that we could actually bring like people out to have a good time. But yeah, that's how I got into that, man.
Okay. So I guess what kind of steps are you taking to book your own shows for an artist who wants to kind of follow those footsteps and do that themselves?
Honestly, I just found like, say it was like a Southland Ballroom. That was one of the ones in Raleigh. It's not open anymore, but I just went on their website, found their information, and then contacted them, said I wanted to book a show. And a lot of these venues, man, if they have like a free date, they're really open to it. And I would make sure I put like artists on the bill that I like enjoyed, but also I knew they could bring people out too. Right. And just hitting up everybody I knew, like, hey man, if you're not doing anything Friday, come through. And luckily, just from like putting out music and freestyling, people, I guess, wanted to come out and see what the shows were like. So I've just been doing them ever since.
Nice, man. That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, one thing I talk about on the blog a lot, and in past podcast episodes, is like just the power of having fans, right? And understanding what, the business of music entails. So it's like, if you can bring people out to a show, you can book a show. The promoter's not necessarily interested in what your music sounds like, unless they have a certain type of crowd that they feel like, you might not attract. But if you can prove to them, hey, like you said, I can bring 200 people to your venue, it's like a no-brainer for them. You're making their job a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. And like, for example, like I opened for Mobb Deep, and like if you listen to my music, I obviously don't fit that style. I mean, Mobb Deep, that's like OG hip-hop, New York City legends, And it was the fact that I packed out Southland Ballroom so many times that they needed somebody, and I just did it, man, to see like maybe I can get some of their fans to like what I'm doing, So it's just, it's all about bringing people out, having a following, and the best way to do that, man, connect with people. Like I take a lot of time out of my day, like instead of just like sending people links with my music and being like, yo, check me out, I just have conversations with people. So like I reply to every comment, every DM, every tweet, every message. Like I take the time out to like get to know the people that take the time out of their lives to check out my music, So I think that's like, it's super important, obviously, but nowadays with like the power going to the artists and the fans are pretty much picking which artists are like on Billboard and charting and on TV and stuff. You just gotta really communicate with the people that support you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the an engaged fan base is definitely like your most powerful asset. And so, like you said, just treating your fans like they're people. I know people that I know that are fans of yours. They they talk about you like they're your best friend. Like there's a girl that I used to work with. I can't even remember her name, but she came to work with a Nance and Company shirt on, and I was like, "Oh, you know Nance?" She's like, "Yeah, we went to school together." But and then lo and behold, you posted a photo from on stage, and there she is, like in the front, and it's like, it seems like every time you post or you host a show, it's like they're like waiting, like, yeah, I was here at the last one, but I want to be at this one too. So I think that's a huge testament to, your charisma and just the fact that you do, like you said, you care about people. You care about them enough to make them feel like they're your friends. And so,
Yeah, that's crazy, man. The fact that you worked with somebody that's awesome, man.
yeah, man, it's like I said, people are like rabid Nance fans. It's like
Yo,
I
what?
don't yeah, I've not seen, like I said, as far as local artists are concerned, and not to, disrespect you by calling you local, but people from our area, it's like, you get into this trap, especially when it's hip hop, where the only people that really know of you are other rappers, right? And so you start going to events, you see the same people around, trying to impress the same five people. But like I said, you've focused on building your fan base, and they've definitely rewarded you for it.
Man, dude, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot.
Well, no problem, man. So last time we talked, it was for the blog interview. So this is our first time speaking, at least via phone or whatever. But you were just about to put out the single Mentions. How has the last year been? Because it's been about a year since we did that.
Yeah. Man, that was like, man, I'm trying to remember that. I think that was last March. Yeah, since then, that was the first song I put out that was going to be on my album, but also it was produced by my friend Fourth Shift that I just started working with, it was like 2 years ago, or, yeah, it was about a year at that time when I dropped the song, so, and, man, he's been able to bring, me to the table as far as, an artist, bring out exactly what I wanted to put on records, because before, man, I was just rapping the beats that I would find online. I was going to YouTube and finding beats, and they weren't I wasn't in the studio with somebody producing the beats from scratch. So this was the first time we're in the studio making beats from scratch. He's, in my eyes, man, this guy's a genius. Just the way he's able to play the keyboard, put together beats, and construct a song. So that was the first time I was dropping something, and the response was pretty good. And then from there, man, I just started dropping more singles with him, and just gearing up for the album. And I feel like with this batch of music that we started dropping, we were able to lock in better shows. As far as I have Hopscotch coming up, and I was able to headline Kings, and we packed that out recently. But it was also just with that, man, I headlined Lincoln Theater last August, and I met this dude named Linus, and he's basically he takes all my pictures, videos, and all that stuff. So he's been able to really bring out who I am as a person and put it on the internet. Cause that's I was doing it, but he just brought it to the next level. So I think what has changed since then, putting that all together, is just my presence on the internet as far as the amount of music that I have out, the quality of it. And then just the amount of content, videos, pictures. Yeah, so that's pretty much. I feel the whole package of what I'm doing, the NANCE brand, has been developed since the release of Mentions.
Right, and that's something that you've always kind of had, that you've always done well. And I know you said you take a lot of your influences from streetwear brands, just because you and I are about the same age. So I know when we're in high school, Pharrell and Kanye are the biggest things in the world, right? And so there's skate influence there, but yeah, it's true. When I look at your brand, it does remind me of those things. It's high quality. it's like something I would want to wear. It's not just like the super heavy t-shirt where like you wash it once and all the letters are cracked up. Like, so, so we talked about that. But I think you're right, because I have noticed a lot. I think before when we talked, you were like taking social media photos like with an iPhone. It's like, hey, yeah, me and my friend will just go like when I'm off work, we'll shoot some photos and then we kind of push that out. That's always been a big part of your brand. How, I guess looking back, what made it so important for you to make sure that the overall brand spoke for you just as loudly as the music?
Um, Man, I guess like my favorite artists right now do that very well. And I mean, as far as like the new guys, so like I opened for Kyle, and just like his brand and everything is so on point, from like his music to the way they show him on Instagram and Twitter and everything. And that's kind of like where I developed that. Like I looked at those guys and I was like, all right, this is a new wave. Like I have to put out, it's not just the music, it's like pictures and everything, and what matters just as much as bringing people to the shows, it's like your engagement online. Like for example, like Instagram, and like followers, like it's kind of like a currency. It's a bad way to put it. Like I don't want to say like people are like money, but like if you have a lot of followers, other companies are going to want to collaborate with you. And what builds your following the best, and it can, like just being myself and getting it out there in the best way possible to represent who I am and what I'm trying to do is the best way to go about it. So that's kind of like where I saw that, like, building my following online and everything is the way other companies, say if somebody wants to sign me, they're going to see like, all right, man, this is what he's doing. He's buzzing in this way, and he has this many followers, and he gets this many comments and this many likes. So yeah, man, just like pretty much putting together like engaging content for people.
Right, definitely. So, is that one of your goals, is to be signed or be like a major label artist?
Man, that it's difficult. I like for a while, it was like I want to be independent, and then for a minute I was like, all right, it'd be cool to get signed, but as of right now, man, I've built up, certain team members. I have a manager named Megan. My friend Linus is kind of like my social media manager. I'm doing the music. I got Posada, who's my DJ, and he helps me with the music as well. And then Fourth Shift makes all the beats. So it's like we kind of have this whole team in-house. And to get it to that level, like if you look at like independent artists, I think of like Chance the Rapper as being like the top of that, like fully independent but like doing it big. And guys like Mac Miller has done it, and like Macklemore. But it's like having that small team and just continuing to build. So that's like my goal now. I'm not looking to like get signed, but if the conversation is right and they kind of respect what I'm doing, it would be nice. It would be cool to sign and have those resources, but also move like an independent artist and release the music that I want to release, and not being like held back artistically.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think there's a lot, there's always this conversation about like the divide between, okay, should I be independent? Should I be a major artist? Like, oh, well, if you're a major artist, you don't get any control, so on and so forth. But we've seen artists make that transition. Like I used to work for Jamla, like back when Rhapsody this was like 2011, so she was just starting to kind of get traction on the blogs and stuff. And when I started working with them, it was right after she had gotten off tour with Mac Miller, who was still independent at the time. And I mean, it took them a little bit longer than like maybe some other people. And maybe that's because they're using sampled music and stuff like that. There may be other limitations to, how quickly they could grow at the time. But like you said, they had everything in-house. I mean, they've got 8 producers on the label. They've got, business managers. They've got people that are reaching out for PR and different promotions and stuff like that. And then they're just making the music they want to make, and they can build it slowly, right? So like now they've got the joint venture with Roc Nation, so they've got bigger distribution. They've got people to kind of vouch for them. Rap got nominated for 2 Grammys last year. And, so there's definitely some merits to what a major label can do for you in 2018. I think the biggest thing, like you said, is not to look at the label as like your savior or like the end game. But if you're moving, with the strength of an independent artist and you understand all the things that a label can do for you or that a label's doing for a lot of people, you understand that to the point where you could do it for yourself. And that puts you in a much better position if that type of deal is available to you.
Yeah, and I also I feel like labels like Rock Nation and stuff. I mean, you got Jay-Z at the top of that. He really understands hip hop, obviously. So it's like you got somebody like Rhapsody who's like had more of like a underground hip hop sound and it's like sampling and stuff. They're like super open to pushing that kind of artist. I mean, it's not like they're taking an artist like that and saying we need a pop hit. Like
Right.
they let people like Rhapsody do what they do and do it well. And people are realizing, that record labels are realizing that music acts like it gets numbers. I mean, it gets streams, it sells. People go to the shows to see that stuff. I mean, I was just at like the Kendrick Lamar show in Raleigh, it was last week, and it's like, dude, he's like packing out a huge venue, and it's like real hip hop,
Right.
It's just, I feel like record labels are way more open now too. Just seeing like independent artists do it on their own, they're like, all right, we got to trust the artist,
Right. Yeah, because I mean, could you imagine being the label that didn't get to sign Chance the Rapper?
Exactly.
And then it's like he puts out this mixtape, no one has to buy it, no one's paying for it, and it's the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and there's so many people like that. Like Childish Gambino wasn't on a major until this last single.
Yeah, I think he was on like smaller labels back in the day, like.
Right, like he was on like Glassnote.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, it's just people are recognizing like these artists. They know what they're talking about, man. They know what kind of music they need to put out, and you can't push them to do something they're not comfortable with. That won't sell,
Right. So let's talk about your latest project, No Excuses. I know you were talking about kind of your relationship with Fourth Shift and how that kind of developed, but how did the album come about?
So we started working like 2 years ago. We knew we wanted to do an album, and we were just like, we would get in the studio, start beats from scratch, and once we had pretty much an album before I did my Kickstarter. We knew like, all right, we have the album, we have an idea, we have almost every song except for like a couple verses. And once the Kickstarter happened and it was successful, that pretty much geared me towards the idea of like No Excuses. Like, everybody supported my Kickstarter. Like my goal was 7,000, but everybody took it to 10,000, which was insane. And before I even put out the Kickstarter, like my original goal in my mind was going to be 10,000. And for some odd reason, right before I put it out, I was like, all right, let me do something a little more reasonable. And it was crazy that like I kind of doubted myself, but everybody that supports me brought it to that 10,000. And not even knowing that was my original goal. And when I saw that happen, and the music was coming together, this whole idea of No Excuses was in my mind. Like there's no excuses to the thing that I'm trying to do, to my dreams. Like why set limits on it? Like no excuse, I can do that. I can get the shows I want to get. I can make the music I want to, and that's how like the Kickstarter and everybody supporting that affected me. And then I just also felt like that's a good way to live your life, and that's kind of like the message I wanted to spread with the music. Do this, like do that thing you want to do with your life with no excuses. And it sounds cliche, but like that's what touched me. Like as far as like Kickstarter, people support me. It's like it's a real thing, man. Like believe in yourself and go for that. I'm not where I want to be, but no excuses. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep working on it. So.
Right. That's what's up, man. So, what gave you the balls to do a Kickstarter campaign?
Yeah, like that's I never thought I'd actually do one. Like I always saw them online and I saw other artists do it and I thought it was amazing, but I was so I was scared, man, because it's a risk. Like, if you fail at a Kickstarter, it's almost like, damn, nobody supports me. Like, and you can't try again later. And I mean, maybe you could, but I've never seen anybody fail on a Kickstarter and say, all right, guys, even though last time we didn't do it, let's try again. You know, like.
Right.
So I saw Professor Toon. He's a artist out of Durham. He goes by Lord Fest now, but I saw him do it, and he hit 10,000. And once I saw that, I was like, man, like, he's a cool dude. I like his music. I supported his Kickstarter, and I took notes and I watched. And once he did it, man, I even hit him up. I was like, man, this has been on my mind, but I've never seen a local do it. And I told him, I was like, man, I want to do it. Like, you've inspired me to do it. He's like, yo, do it. And when I was doing it, it was cool. He would call me and give me advice and stuff. So it was basically like Professor Tim, seeing him do it. And also just having this album that I really believed in, but not having the proper funding to fully finish it and get the artwork ready. Like my graphic designer, Ruben Rodriguez, like, I got to pay him because, you know, he has bills to pay too. Everybody's got bills, like my producers and stuff. So it was a good way for me to, like, say, all right, man, like, I need this funding to really do this. And it was inspired by another local, which is the best part about it.
That's what's up, man. So the album was pretty much done as far as the content was concerned, but your Kickstarter was really just to fund everything you need to make it like a successful project, like finish the graphics, finish the artwork, maybe get some videos, and maybe use some for like advertising, and really give it the push it deserved.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty much, like, it was. I was missing two songs, like the first song, Perfect, and the last song I actually made. Those were gonna be for my next project, but I decided to put them on my album. Those were ones I just, like, after the Kickstarter happened, I made them because I was inspired by everything that happened. And I was like, man, I'm just going to throw them on this album. But, yeah, and I'm still...
And quick pause, because this is where the call dropped. But no worries. I called Nance right back, and we picked up right where we left off. So here's the rest of our conversation. All right, cool. So we should be good to go. It's like the last thing I heard, you said, I'm still, and that's when you cut out.
I'm trying to remember what the question was now. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. So we were just talking about, like, what all you had before the Kickstarter campaign and kind of where you saw it going.
Yeah. So I had the album done, and except for two songs, which is the first song of the album and the last song. And then, you know, I had some content and ideas for music videos. So I just didn't want to, you know, put a project out there and not push it. And that's, like, why, one of the main reasons for the Kickstarter. But also, you know, I've put out the album now, and I've kind of, like, organically pushed it just, like, word of mouth. And I still have some, you know, funds for my Kickstarter that I'm going to be investing in music videos that I have in the works right now. So it's going to be like a long process to get this all going. But just having the music out there and then being able to drop music videos and use the funds from Kickstarter to push them and bring people back to the music is kind of what this whole entire, like, next year until my next project comes out is going to be like.
Yeah, that's what's up. I think that's something that a lot of artists kind of drop the ball on as well. Like, they'll put out a project and then, you know, they're good for like a month. Then they start to lose steam, and then they just, I guess they feel like the project is old, so they don't want to push it anymore. And so then you've got, like, this music that no one's heard, but then you're like, oh, I got to do something new so they can hear me this time.
Yeah, and what people have to realize is that, like, being an artist, like, by the time you put out the album, sometimes you're done with the music, you know? And that's, like, the difficult part. Like, in my mind, I'm writing and recording new music, and I'm kind of past No Excuses, but it's new to some people, and it's going to be new to anybody that hasn't heard it. So the more, you know, I invest into it and push it and perform it in front of new crowds, it's like the more I can get it out there. So I just have to remember that, like, you know, even though mentally I might be past it, when I'm on stage, man, I gotta act like I'm recording those songs for the first time. It's kind of like reenacting to the crowd, you know?
Right.
Um, but yeah, man, that's the main thing. Just like, and that's what I wanted to do with this project, like stretch it out. Like, let me put out No Excuses, see how far it goes without any of the funds going into it just yet. And then once it kind of like dies down a little bit, I'll start dropping new content and getting it going. So, and that's coming up pretty soon, man. I've been like recently just moved into like a new apartment with my friend Linus, who creates all my content. So we're about to be like really working on stuff. Yeah, man, I'm excited about all that.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So the album No Excuses is available everywhere, right?
Yeah, all streaming platforms, and then I also have physical copies on my website, which is iamnance.com.
That's what's up, man. So I want to go into like a little bit of like a lightning round. So I'll just ask a few questions and yeah, whatever comes to your mind. So what's the best piece of advice you've gotten in the industry?
Oh, man. Lightning round, this is a tough question. Man, best advice. Oh, man. Dude, you got me. Because there's so much advice. Like, I'm like all about taking in information. And even if it's not advice where it's like from somebody I know, man, I'm always listening to podcasts. And like, I'm just trying to take in information on how I can like better my career. Man, it might be cliche, but like, do what you love is really strong. And the difficult part about that, and the reason why I think it sounds so cliche to people, is because sometimes it's hard to find that thing that you love in life, you know? And even for me, like, I was rapping, and I knew I loved it, but I just didn't see it as a way to, you know, I never saw myself, like, doing a Kickstarter or headlining my own shows or even being on stage. So I used to be so nervous to just, like, tell people I was a rapper. And thinking like, oh man, I'm gonna be on stage, like how? Like I don't even want to tell people I rap. So it's like, I think the best advice, man, has just been like, do what you love and really pursue it. You know, go after that thing you love in life, man, and it makes it 10 times more fun and enjoyable. And even when you hit a low, like when you're like pursuing what you love in life, when you hit a low, it's not too bad because it's like, I'm doing that thing that I love to do. You know, I love making music. I'm doing that.
Got you. That's what's up, man. So if you were going to run a Kickstarter campaign to fund another album, what would you do differently?
I would probably believe in myself more than the past one and set a better goal. You know, like I would have done 10,000 off the bat. But also, I think the first, like, I dropped my video and Professor Toon called me and he was like, yo, in your video you said donate. You can't say donate. You have to say contribute. So I would have, like, changed that whole thing about my video and tell people, hey, if you contribute to my Kickstarter, these are, like, certain things you get. And that's probably the only thing I would have changed, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Let's see. It's a lightning round, but I don't have the questions ready.
Now you good.
So, what was the hardest thing you've had to overcome on your journey so far?
Man. Hardest thing. Man, I think just being comfortable with myself. And that goes goes into so many different aspects of what I do. Like, you know, being able to speak my truth on songs. I mean, some of the best music comes from, like, your own struggles and your pain. And I think, you know, I touched on that in No Excuses about, like, my anxiety and everything. And because that's something I realized within the past year that I have. Yeah, just like knowing myself and putting that out there. It's like it's so difficult to get on stage and be vulnerable, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's what's up, man. And so, if there was one like book or podcast or resource that you could share with artists who are trying to be in your position, what would it be?
I'm reading a book right now called Ego is the Enemy. That's as of right now, because I'm just on that wave. Like that's a good one because it's all about like learning about your ego. Like, and ego is not even just like when you think ego, like a lot of people, especially me, I think like Kanye West. You think like loud and just out there, and sometimes your ego isn't even that. Like it makes you quiet. It makes you sometimes not really even believe in yourself. You know, like ego is not even like a cocky thing 24/7. That's one. I got three. The other one is what is it called? The subtle art of not giving a fuck. I'm sorry if I can't cuss on this, but
You're good, man.
yeah, that's what the book's called. It's really dope. It's just like it's about like who cares what people think, like do your thing. And then the other one, it's a really short book. It's called Show Your Work. And that it's just about like, yo, if you do art or anything creative, man, like show people. There's a lot of artists like they keep working on that one song or that one painting until they think it's perfect before they put it out. And sometimes you have to put stuff out even though you fully don't think it's perfect, you know, like go ahead and we're all going to look back at stuff we did and be like, man, I could have done that better. And you just got to put it out. Like, don't put out like bad work. But if people around you are like, yo, it's good, drop it. Drop it, man. Show your work. So those are like three books right there.
That's what's up, man. Yo, well, Nance, I want to thank you so much for doing the podcast, for sharing this knowledge and information with the other artists and producers out there, and for taking time out of your schedule. I know you're busy, you're driving, there's a lot going on. So thanks, man.
Yo, man, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you having me on here. And make sure, send me this link when we drop it so I can send it out to everybody. I'll show everybody. So, and just everybody who's listening to this, man, I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Oh, by the way, just shout out all your socials and where they can find you again.
Website, IamNance.com, Instagram, Nance, Twitter, Nance, Rap. And yeah, man, that's it. That's all of it.
Cool. Well, again, you guys check for Nance. His album, No Excuses, is out everywhere. So iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify. Go take a listen to it. Check out his website. And there's a lot you can learn from him. So thanks again for listening. All right, guys, if you made it this far, you won. Congratulations. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Just want to give you a little bit of preview of next week. So next week, we're talking to Bryant Walker, a.k.a. Concept Beats. He's a music producer and now a content creator and multimedia producer for all sorts of businesses. So we talked about getting creative in your business. So like, as musicians, a lot of times we're really creative as far as the music we make, but then we do really boring things to promote it. And so Bryant talks about how to get creative in the way you do business so that you can really set yourself up to live the life that you've been dreaming about just by being creative with your business model. So that's next week on the show. If you're interested in that, be sure you subscribe. Hey, give us a rating on Apple Podcasts, on SoundCloud, wherever you're listening. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.